Hey, welcome back. I have 3 life lessons, if you will, or 3 observations that turned into life lessons for me that came from actually watching Arnold in the gym. And I'm going to go right to them for you, okay? First thing is, I learned watching Arnold. I was at World Gym in Marina del Rey as well as Venice from 1986 until eventually it closed in 2007. I was a member, and then I also trained clients there for all those years. So I observed him many times. That was his main gym when he would be training in Southern California. So Arnold would come on by, and you could always tell when Arnold was about to show up because as the governor, at least, this is a governor story, the first one. When he would show up, the little SUV would show up, the black SUV with the shotguns in the front seat. And then you'd have the guys on the bicycles with the CIA earpiece hanging in. They'd show up with the Hawaiian shirts and they'd come on the gym and they'd be walking around the gym. Next thing you know, Arnold would show up on a bicycle usually. So when Arnold would come to train as the governor at this point and post-governorship, he would come to the gym. It was around 2005, 2006. And when he came in one day, I was training one of my clients, and he was in there working out. And when he walked by me, he nodded his head, and I said, "Big A." And I realized as I walked on by him with my client that I called the governor Big A. And my client actually said to me, "You call him Big A?" And so I said, well, yeah, that might not be appropriate right now, right? So I excused myself from my client. I walked across the gym and I went to go and shake Arnold's hand. You could see his bodyguards kind of looking at me closely. And Arnold shook my hand and I said to him, "Hey, listen, man, I want to apologize because I called you Big A." And that's mainly because when Joe Gold and myself had, anytime we spoke about Arnold, Joe Gold always referred to him as Big A. So I was in the habit of calling him and referring to him as Big A. So I said to Arnold, "Forgive me for that. I know I'm supposed to call you Mr. Governor." And he says to me, "Man, you can call me anything you want. Don't get stuck on this Mr. Governor crap." Wow. I thought, man, this guy is, that's pretty cool. Again, being friendly and, he's working out. But number 2 is that he wasn't so self-conscious, taking himself too seriously. Now, the number 2 one that I learned, so he didn't take himself too seriously. The number 2 one that I learned, speaking of self-conscious, is I always heard stories about Arnold back in the day when he was competing, and the guys in the gym would tell me that even at the old Gold's Gym, during the summer months especially, when he'd be sweating it up, training, he'd be wearing a shirt or a tank top, and he'd go to change his shirt once it would get all sweaty and wet. In the office, he'd take his shirt off and go put on a dry one. And everybody in the gym would stop and look and see what kind of shape he was in. And so Eddie Giuliani, who's also a former IFBB pro bodybuilder and training partner of Arnold's, used to tell me this one story in particular where this one day Arnold stopped. He saw people looking at him and he turned around and he showed them what he looked like. Didn't pose, but he said, "Get a good look. You satisfied?" And then he said, "This is not contest time. Just wait till we get down the road." Whoa. Now that's cool because even as a top pro bodybuilder, one of the most famous Mr. Olympias of all time, who you would assume would be very self-conscious, very aware of how he looked at all times, maybe even to the point, some people would say narcissism, you would think that he really would not want to show his body and be judged by people right there in the gym when he was so used to, he opens himself to being judged on stage, right? Bodybuilders, me too for that matter, for so many years as a bodybuilder. But the lesson in that for me became that Arnold was so confident in how he looked on the day he needed to look a certain way that he lived life. He enjoyed life for a lot of the year. And then when it came time to get really serious, he would be serious. He'd get in great shape, of course, and wipe out the competition. So he was self-confident. He knew who he was, and he wasn't so self-conscious. So that was pretty cool to observe, and I've carried that one over on myself over the years, that I'm just not overly self-conscious and obsessed with how I look all the time. So, and I know this because most of you guys over the years I've been asked, how come I always wear loose t-shirts and things like that? You know, this is not exactly loose, but I've had people ask me that I wear usually 2XL oversized t-shirts, and I'm just comfortable in them. I'm just being comfortable. It's like I'm not interested in showing it off, that type of a thing. So kind of took that don't be too self-conscious thing from Arnold. And then the third one, this is a real positive one that I really, really liked, is that the thing about Arnold, one of the big reasons why he's got such a magnetic personality and so many people love to be around him, is that he always gives a positive word when he sees somebody. He'll notice if you've lost some weight, he'll point it out. Say, you look great. You know, you've been losing some weight lately. Like this, he'll go, oh, you look great. Or he'll say, hey, looking big if he knows you're a bodybuilder. You know, looking good, looking good. Looking hard if you're a bodybuilder getting ready for a show. So he always has a positive thing to say. And that's not just to the bodybuilders. It was to everybody. I observed him constantly talking to people, and he was very, very positive. So I carried that even to this day. And I try my best when I meet people to give a positive word and to accentuate the positive, let's say, as opposed to bringing up negatives or being so critical of them at times. So that's it for today, really. 3 really cool observations that turned into life lessons. You know, 1, don't take yourself too seriously, right? And number 2, don't be so self-conscious, right? And then number 3, have a positive word for everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. You can come up with a positive word for anybody. That's it for today. From my heart to you, John Hart, some cool lessons learned from Arnold. Remember to hit the subscribe button below and feel free to comment as well.